Hello ladies and gentlemen, and today we are doing a video on warding and shielding. This is a part of a new and interesting series that I'm doing, a collaboration with the lovely Miss Lunar Wisdom. So the way that this collaboration is going to work is that you can see my video, or maybe you're coming from her video, but we're both doing a video on the exact same topic, and we're providing links in the description for people to click on and be able to go over and see the other person's perspective on the exact same spell. Now, in this series, I'm not really going to be doing any actual spell work. I'm going to be demonstrating and explaining how I might approach the actual spell in question that we're talking about. That is to give you some ideas and some ways of doing a spell of this particular type. Now, it is important to understand that it is your job to be doing any and all research regarding spells, correspondences, candles, times of day, moon phases, different herbs, magical and medicinal use of those herbs, and if you are even allowed to look at, touch, or be in the vicinity of said herbs without breaking into some kind of allergic reaction. What else is important to understand is, unlike a lot of the spell videos that I do on my channel, these are not going to be long videos. These are meant to be very short videos to give you an idea of how I may approach a situation. Any good witch worth their salt at all in any way, shape, or form is not going to give you everything. And if they do give you everything, they're doing it wrong. Because what works for them, 9 times out of 10 is not going to work for you. This is more of an inspiration, an idea around the subject of the topic for the video. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about warding and shielding. Okay, so again, if you want to see Lunar Wisdom's video on this, head down to the description, click on that link, go over, watch her video, and that way you guys get 2 perspectives on the exact same spell. Okay, so what we're talking about is warding and shielding. And what is warding and shielding? Warding and shielding is a way to protect yourself. Now, we're not going to talk about protecting yourself from other witches, because that's been done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. What we're going to be talking about is warding and shielding against negative energies. And that can include witchcraft. But a lot of the times when we go to work, or we go to the mall, or we go to a new situation where we don't know everybody involved in that situation. So maybe you're going out with your boyfriend's friends for the first time and you've never met them before. Warding and shielding can help protect you from negative people, like not just negative people, but negative energies that are just out there. Because, you know, everybody's got these different vibes, they've got these different energy waves, and sometimes some people while knowing they're doing it, or while knowing that they're not doing it, like, you know, whether they know it or not is the point that I'm getting at. They can steal energy from you. And we need to be able to protect ourselves from that. especially as witches who use our energy in our spell work, in our craft, and all kinds of things. You know, we don't want to be drained all the time because, you know, we keep hanging out with Sally Sue, who is a negative, nasty little witch. And I don't know, she's just negative all the time. Like, we need to be able to protect ourselves from that, right? Okay. So for this one, this can be super simple, okay? It can be as simple can ever get. Let's start with some black salt, okay? So like, we've all seen black salt before, and like, we know the recipe. It's literally a coal disc and literally a little bit of salt, and mix it together and boom, done, you're done. But what is black salt? What is its purpose? What is it meant for? Black salt is actually meant so that nothing negative can pass over it, or at least that's the lore behind it. I mean, if I'm having a really shitty day, no magical barrier is just gonna pop up and prevent me from entering my own house. But at the same time, it is a form of warding and shielding. Witches believe that black salt can actually be used to keep out negativity and to protect their space from negative energies, be it from another person or from just in general. The other one is sulfur. Sulfur is very good for protection against negative energies. Now, I'm not going to give you the full recipe to this black salt. In fact, if you've seen a video in March, I do a spell video on a very powerful black salt. I do give you some ideas for the recipe. I do kind of go through it. I don't actually do any talking or anything like that, but you get a sense of how I create my black salts. My black salts are very powerful and they're very effective at what they do for my craft. Okay, it's my craft. It's not your craft, it's my craft. But they are very effective in what they do. The other thing is some ginger. Now, not just ginger alone, but like, for example, let's say you're making a protection candle, and we'll get into this in a minute. Let's say you're making a protection candle and you need to protect yourself against negative energies. A simple small candle like this, okay? It doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be black, it can be any color you want it to be. But if you take, and this is a part of my craft, this doesn't have to be a part of your craft, you can do it any way that you want to do it. But if you take some coconut oil and you bless the coconut oil and you place it on the candle and you roll the candle in some herbs such as black salt, which has herbs in it, it's not necessarily just herbs, but such as black salt, such as sulfur, such as ginger, cayenne, mix in some sage, some rosemary, stuff like that, dress the candle, remember to shake off the extra, and then mount the candle and put the intentions in. Now, what's really important with protection and warding and shielding is that when you're putting your intentions in, you're visualizing not just a bubble, but a brick wall or a diamond wall or something. You're visualizing something that is going around you, around your space, around your house, whatever it is, and it's protecting you. Anything that's coming towards you is literally bouncing off of it. Now, you can get creative with these and start putting intentions in where you're laying down traps, you're layering your protections, you're layering your shielding. So instead of just having that bubble there, for example, maybe you also have some walls, or you've got some traps, so to speak, or you've just got things in place that take care of things that try and come towards you. So a good example is, let's say you want to protect your house from burglary. So you might start doing a protection magics on your house so that it's less visible, so that people in the neighborhood don't pay second thought to it, so that strangers passing by who may or may not be burglars don't even notice that it's there. You might be doing, but then you might layer that magic. magic so that your house is separated onto a separate plane of existence, and your front door is the entrance and exit to that plane of existence, and that people who have negative energies that try to enter into that plane of existence feel like they don't want to, or they don't want to be around it. If you are constantly thinking that you're cursed or under attack by other witches, like a lot of attention seekers on the internet like to do, and they start drama that way, what you can do is you can put up protections around yourself that are layered and multi-dimensional, so that anybody trying to attack you is basically null and void, or the attack goes back to them. What's important for me is that when I'm doing my candle or my protection magics, whatever they may be, and they do include candle magic and they do include black salt, but when I'm doing them, the intention there is to basically make myself invisible. Okay. Now, I live in an apartment building, so you're probably thinking, well, I don't want to make the whole apartment building invisible. I don't want to, like, you know, that kind of thing. What you can do is what I do is, so let's say this is my apartment building right here, and this candle is my apartment. I tend to take my apartment and shift it over into a different plane of existence over here. We'll go this way, it's the candle, I mean the camera. But I tend to shift it over this way. So physically and in the physical world, it's still a part of the apartment, but in the magical sphere of things, it's shifted over so that people who attempt to do magic on me or my space or whatever, or maybe there's just some negativity, it doesn't come into the apartment, because the actual apartment is shifted off of the quote-unquote physical plane, if you will. And a lot of times what I'll do with these protection candles or protection magics is that I will place in some more potent ingredients, which I won't necessarily get into, but I will give you a couple of examples. One is cayenne and the other one is cat shit. And the reason for that is because I want anything that could potentially be coming to me, okay, I want it to bounce off of me and go straight back to the target that's sending it. So if I'm using things like cat shit, if I'm using things like hot peppers, or I'm using things that are poisonous, or I'm using things that you wouldn't think to use, such as tomato leaves, or vines, or mint root, or, you know, stuff like that, what I'm doing is I'm basically trapping them, and I'm like sending it back, but I wouldn't say threefold, but I would say more potent than what they attempted to send my way. When it comes to negative people, you could place things like black salt around your doors and your windows and so on and so forth. I sage my front door every single time I clean my place. And I put up a ward, so to speak, around that door, and it protects from negative people trying to enter my space. Now you're probably thinking it's sage smoke, it's going to dissipate, don't you have to do that every 5 minutes? No, because the magical intention that I put into it is that as the smoke settles, it's sealing the door. It's forming an actual seal around the door, the windows, wherever I'm doing it. Now, it's important to understand that you have to keep up your protections. You can't just do it once and then just never ever do it again. While we don't put time limits on magic itself, it is important to understand that when we cast protection magics, eventually, over time, all spells, regardless of time limit or not, do dissipate. Okay, so that does mean that you may or may not have to do another candle spell again, or maybe you're not doing a candle spell, maybe you're doing something else. But for me, I do candle magics a lot. Fire is a big part of my craft in some way or another. Now for protection magics, I do switch it up. So it's not always the same ingredients, it's not always the same candle, it's not always the exact same intentions. This way, I keep the would-be attackers on their toes, okay? So while I'm not going to demonstrate doing an actual protection magical spell today, I did want to discuss what protection magic looks like to me. Okay, and some of the things that I like to use in protection magic are sage, cat shit, black salt, black candles, sulfur, ginger, spicy things. I also like to use fire waters and fire oils and so on and so forth. So while this isn't an actual demonstration of a spell, I did want to talk to you about protection magics and what that looks like in my craft. This isn't really something that I feel comfortable with demonstrating, let alone showing off. I may at a later date, but for the particular purposes of this video and the series, I want to talk and somewhat demonstrate and give you ideas on where you might go in your magical practice in regarding to these types of spells. Okay, so I hope that you learned something from this, and I'm sure Lunar Wisdom will have an actual demonstration of the video up on her channel. So don't forget to go down to the description and click on that link and go over and watch hers. And then that way you get a more unified approach of, okay, well, he talked about this and she showed that. So that makes a lot more sense. I can take ideas from both. Okay, so until next time, my fabulous little creatures.